What's up, everyone? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and I want to kind of tackle something real quick that I find isn't really talked about too much, but despite being fairly prevalent, but for some reason it barely gets talked about, or it just gets like a random a random mention in here or there, and then it's just completely forgot about. But the main thing. The main thing I want to go into for this is that, yeah, we're all, unfortunately, we're all too familiar with games launching broken. And, they get delayed by like a year and they still launch broken. They still have problems like 6 months after release that are barely fixed or maybe not fixed. It varies on game to game, and it's a sad fucking state, and it's a sad marker of the times we live in. But one thing is when this is becoming way more frequent, especially with certain devs. But they're releasing patches for their games, be it to fix old glitches or bugs, or just add in new content, and then severely breaking the game. Now, there's too many. I knew a couple off the top of my head, but there was too many to actually Google and get a full list of. So some of these will only have like a quick mention of it. But I mean, Marvel Heroes, apparently patch 1.11 when that released, it broke the game so bad that the developers actually reverted it back to a previous version of the game. Now, there was so much detail in it that I didn't check it out in exact specifics, but the fact that the developer said, yeah, okay, this breaks the game to such an extent that we're just gonna pull the patch and revert the game back, that's pretty drastic. So what else have we got? I mean, we've got Destiny. Bungie tried to patch several things several times, and usually there was a couple of times where they tried specifically to patch that thing. Mostly it was the heavy ammo fix, and they tried patching the heavy ammo fix, and they said it was patched. It wasn't. They said it was patched again. It wasn't. It broke it a different way. They patched it again, and it broke other stuff, certain guns, including one of what was basically the highest end gun of the game at the time, the Vex Middle class. That was another one of them. I haven't been fully detailed on this one either, because this is just kind of a result of Google and say GameFAQs and Steam forums. But apparently that Sniper Elite 3 was broken completely. It had a day one patch, and apparently that was broken completely as well. Not for everyone, but for a lot of people. A lot of people had an issue with, say, the 360, not just the 360 version, but it seemed to be mostly the 360 version, that after the patch would install, the day one patch, it would get to the title screen and it would just completely freeze every time, and it would need a hard reset. Now, the quick look on it I had is, clearing the cache and re-downloading the patch didn't do anything for them. It was very, very strange. And this one probably, I don't even know what to say about this one. We have Mortal Kombat X, which on PC was just a complete disaster. Of course it was a complete disaster. It was a Warner Brothers game, and as far as I remember, it was ported by High Voltage, which is never a good thing. So that's pretty nasty. And some of the patches on that completely broke the game. Some of them had it uninstalled for them. Some of them had to uninstall the entire game. Some of them, it basically would break Steam. I've personally had a game do something similar to that for me at one point a long time ago. What would happen is, when I tried to boot the game up, it seemed that this person was having the same problem. And when I booted the game up, it would crash Steam, and it would completely destroy my Steam, I can't remember what they're called, Steam registry key kind of thing. And even when I reinstalled, or when I rebooted Steam up, it said I had no games installed. And every time I would download a game, I'd re-download a game, despite the games actually being on my hard drive, and I couldn't even point Steam to them. But it's just, it was weird. Every time I would download a game through Steam, it wouldn't recognize it, and eventually I just had to format the entire computer. Luckily, it was only after I was setting a computer back up, so it wasn't that bad. But some of the people were having that kind of some of those problems, and let alone more with Mortal Kombat X. Obviously, we've got GTA 5. GTA 5 has had two or three notorious versions. There was the one that first off tried to prevent the mods completely, which just broke single player for people with mods, even if they never played multiplayer. There's the most recent GTA. Actually, there's two other GTA patches. There was the one, I think this one was a console only one because I don't think it was out on PC at the time. But there was an update that actually dropped the performance. It worsened the graphics and dropped the performance. Obviously, that was fixed eventually. I mean, I know it got rid of the parallax occlusion mapping, and it got rid of, I think it was something to do, no, I don't think it was anti-aliasing. Maybe it was anti-aliasing, but like I said, it dropped the graphics quality and it dropped the performance. And then there was obviously the most recent GTA patch, which a lot of PC players are complaining about because it actually it basically puts in a bunch of junk code that it's to prevent mods, but it only slows them down, slows down the modders. But because of that, the patch essentially makes the game run worse and you get a performance hit from it, even if you're not playing online, even if you are playing online, even if you're not playing online, even if you're playing with or without mods. It's just how it's handled and how it does. So basically the patch kind of fucks the game up. And the one that's been the most prevalent this whole time, because it's basically every single patch for this particular game, is The Witcher 3. Every time I hear about a patch for The Witcher 3, it just makes me... Now, I don't have The Witcher 3, but it just makes me think, oh, what broke this time? Or what's it going to break this time? And every time I do actually look at one of the patch notes, or I won't say reactions to patches, but when you look around after the patch has been released, it usually just fucks it all up completely. And it's happening basically every Witcher patch. I mean, it's up to 1.07 at the moment. And as far as I know, it's been they've broke something performance and quality wise in every patch so far, except for one of them. And that's like 7 patches so far. And it's broke all for one of them. Now, I know, sure, some people, you can argue, I know in the case of The Witcher's latest patch, it's a big 7 gig content patch. So they are adding a lot of new stuff in there. So people can argue it's like, oh, well, they can't catch all the bugs, or maybe they just overlook this one thing. But, I mean, that's why they have quality testers. That's why these companies like Microsoft and Sony and to an extent, you've the publishers and the developers, actually, I suppose. That's why these people have quality assurance. I realize that that's a diminishing market these days. I mean, we've all seen how shitty everything is now. So, I mean, yeah, sure, they probably have one guy looking over the 3 patches for, each console and PC. So, but it's a consistent thing that's happening in a lot of games that doesn't get brought up as much. Sure, you can argue it's not as game breaking and not as kind of important, if you will, as releasing a broken, fully priced product, because at this point you already have the thing. But they're basically downgrading your experience because of it, and they're fucking up your game and your experience and your time with it because of it. So I just want to put it out there. I want to know what everyone thinks about this, because I want it to be more popular, and I don't want it just to be forgotten about and pushed under the rug until the next patch, which breaks the game in a different way again. But real quick, I'll note it again, that the latest Witcher patch has reports of giving performance of roughly 8 frames per second less. Now, most people are thinking 8 frames a second less, that's a joke. This is in the console variants of the game, which struggle to keep 30 frames a second as it is. So when you're coming from 30 frames a second, you're losing 8 frames a second, you're basically losing 25% performance per second. And that obviously doesn't even help. It full on hinders your ability to play the game. In a game with combat like The Witcher's, that's going to be an issue. Movement, going around everywhere. It's not enjoyable. So all these broken problems and broken shit, it just needs to be fixed. That's all I can say. It's just ridiculous. So get it out there. Get everyone knowing and talking about it. That's the main thing. I want people to talk about it. I don't just want people to talk about it the day after a patch releases and then just forget about it. I want this to be the next broken game thing. Now, you can argue the whole, is it as important? No, it's probably not as important, but it's still important, because they're at that point they're basically saying, "Oh, we have your money, fuck you." That's it. But now that can be said for the other way as well. But either way, let me know all that in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter, details in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the rest of the videos in my channel.